Hi guys. Today I want to have a therapy session, get a little healing going on. I got so much on my mind, honestly, and I've just been amazed at how I've been coping and dealing with it. Where it's like I feel unbothered by it, if it makes sense. Even though some things is just like, oh my god. Um, I'm actually thinking where I want to start at. I think I'm gonna start from the beginning, not from the beginning, but pretty much the beginning when I got frostbite. If you have not been keeping up with me, I've gotten frostbite, which is a third-degree burn. I didn't realize that cold weather is the same aspect as being in a fire. It's like it's the same aspect. Um, which led me to get to the hospital, and I reunited with my family. This is the important part that made me even want to talk about it. Is learning my history from my family, something I've been seeking. I received it, and it makes so much sense as into what I'm doing when I say I translate for my family, and just certain blind spots that I had and they had. It was intriguing to me personally. Um, and as I just said, this was made me want to even record because at first, once I received a lot of light from the situation, I just was over. I really didn't want to talk about it, if that makes sense. Just like now, you want to tap out when you're needed, yo. This is what you've been seeking. This is what you've been seeking. Um, and honestly, sometimes I forget my purpose. Like, what do? I do light in the dark work. Um, Fast forwarding back into what I was saying. And so led me into the hospital, which I reunited back with my family, which was nice, honestly. People I haven't seen in a long time. But specifically, it was my aunt Marcia. It was so nice to been recognized. Like, she's a Christian woman. She's a believer. She believes in the Holy Spirit. She's a tongue speaker. And it just felt so good to just be recognized. I was like, oh my God, it's just so nice. And we just had good conversations while I was in there, which made me want to leave and go home with her. Because at some point in time, you gotta leave the hospital. Which my family kept treating me like I was going to move into the hospital, which was intriguing to me. But that's an important aspect when I get into the rest of the story. um, I think I'm going to fast forward leaving out the hospital part because I want to mainly stay on my family aspect. But it started at the hospital with my aunt and being recognized in an energy field that I needed by another believer. Because the rest of my family, when it comes to my mom and siblings, it was just like, oh, who are you? You're being weird now. Who are you? And it's like, oh my God, I'm the same. I'm just a believer. I'm way more connected like I'm supposed to be. But they didn't understand that part. So, to have a family member who's like, oh my God, yay. Even though she didn't really cope with the fact that I do tarot, I pull cards. She helps me understand myself a lot more as into I technically don't need the cards. I keep telling people I don't need the cards. The cards are a tool. It's a confirmation aspect. I can speak it. I can say it before it happens. And she was like, oh, that's oh God, what's the word? She told me what it was. And she said, oh, what's the word, Jesus? It's in my head, but it don't want to come out. Oh my God. Gotta think for a second. I want to say, why do I want to say prosperity? But that's not the word that I'm thinking of. But I'm just going to keep talking because I can't think of the word right now. Which that's another reason why I needed to be around her. Because, help me out, in aspects where I'm lacking that. But it seemed like she started getting afraid by the fact that I do tarot. Like, it was just too much. But fast forward, as I said, leaving at the hospital, I wound up going to her house and staying with her. And this is the part where things changed. Because I didn't really realize what I was walking into. Yes, we had a good relationship in the hospital, which made me want to be around her. It's like people can heal really well with the right support, even if it's words of encouragement, upliftment of the soul, that's the best healing. I was like, I'm going with you. I need this type of healing, And it seemed like it felt good to her too. Like she was showing up all dolled up for me, and I didn't realize that until I started staying with her, and I realized she would get dressed up just for me to come see me. Um, so I thought it was actually really nice, you know. But as I was saying, I didn't realize what I was walking into. I walked into a chaotic situation where it became a envy, jealous situation for no reason, because my aunt has a daughter, which is my cousin Alexis, which I was really excited to see her. Honestly, I haven't seen her in so long, and she is one of my best cousins, honestly. I would have been staying with her when I first came to Columbus, but I decided to go and help my mom instead, and, you know, wound up staying with my mom or whatever. Or whatever. No, I did stay with my mom instead of staying with my cousin. And I did distance her. I did distance myself from my cousin because I was talking to boys. I wanted to spend more time with my boyfriend during that time. And she felt, you know, like, you know, you changed up on me, you know. It was just me and you, you know, and all of a sudden you stopped answering my calls probably and, you know, spending time with me. Which that's true. And I actually apologized to her when I actually seen her because, like, dang, I really did. Like, I didn't really think about it that much. It's like, this is what I want to spend time with. It's my boyfriend, you know. But as I got older, you know, experienced things, I realized that was messed up. That wasn't cool to do because she was always there for me, honestly. Um, but she had her own situation that she was going on in her own personal life that I kind of got a heads up of it, but I didn't realize how deep in depth it was. Where her mom wasn't accepting certain things that she was going through, you know. She needed that type of support, and she seen that her mom, which is my Aunt Marcia, was giving me that support that she was missing. And I'm just like, oh my God. You know, like, there's nothing I can do about that. You know, I tried to, like, you know, step back a little bit, but I do enjoy my Aunt Marcia, you know. I start even wearing her clothes and stuff, and that's where things got really intriguing. And I know it was my cousin who did this. She is one of those. I understand it to an extent, just by everything I just said to her said. She got her own problems, and, you know, she working on acceptance from her own parent, and her parent is, you know, supporting somebody else, you know, coming off like a daughter to me when, you know, your own daughter needs you. Which I had conversations with them both about this topic, but my cousin did a manipulation form on me real quick, and I picked up on it. I even walked into it, but I navigated around it like I didn't know, even though I knew, but things got tense. It was obvious that the energy changed. But she told her mom pretty much I was trying to become her, you know, and it's like, how am I trying to become you? Yes, we are family, you know. Yes, we kind of sort of like the same field in the medical aspect, but I don't want to be you, yo. Like, which I got to get into that too. I can talk about it now, but she taught me a lot about myself, honestly, and it wasn't all good aspects. Even when I, you know, becoming somebody, you know, I really don't want to be my aunt, you know, I really, really don't. She got good style, you know, to be so old, you know, because all the dresses and stuff I just was wearing, that was hers, you know, and I looked nice in it. But something I have learned throughout my life is I have a hard time when it comes to females. There always become an envy situation and jealousy just about the way I look. And it's like, look, I am going through it, okay? I am homeless. I go and got frost, but I can't hardly even use my hands. And you worrying about me looking way cuter than you in your clothes? Like, I can't right now, you know? That's just the way I was thinking. That's still the way I feel. Like, that's so amazing. But I actually told them about this type of aspect when it came to my own mom. And I didn't understand, like, how could my mom be jealous of me? That's so weird. You want your child to be better than you, you know? Not a competition aspect. It's weird to me. But to actually see that happen within my own family who came off from the jump, like they were supporting me, it was amazing. Because it's like, you brought me your clothes, yo. You know, you taught me how to dress myself and everything. So I enjoyed that part. But as I said, my cousin, she know how to manipulate some stuff. And my aunt changed on me really quick. It was intriguing. Like, she was like, maybe she is, you know, because she always in my house all day while I'm at work, you know. But it's just like, you brought me here, yo. You said I could stay here. With she totally changed that aspect too. She was like, I thought you just was staying a little. I thought I was coming to visit too. Okay, I hope they watch this video. We probably gonna have a conversation in person about this, and we can watch it together because So much I could talk about. Jesus Christ. I've learned, and I talked about even when I was doing translations when I was there, you can have open conversations like this. It's a breakdown, shutdown aspect where my family, I realized certain things we just don't talk about, even though we experience the same aspect. Which I gotta go back and talk about that too, because my first day there, when she first came and got me, she was like, I don't like a lot of traffic in and out of my house, you know. I'm like, yo, I don't either, you know. I'm not bringing nobody to your house, yo. And I'm not, you know, I'm hurting, you know. I just got frostbite. I'm not trying to entertain anybody. As soon as I get to her house, I think it was the next day, or maybe that same day, she brought people over to see me. You know, like, oh my God, I want such to come see you because you at the hospital. I'm just like, yo, I swear we had this conversation already, you know, that you brought to my attention. But it was family. But it stirred up a whole conversation about something that I actually been talking about a lot. And I realized my family, we have a lot of incest in my family. A lot of it. And it happened all mostly at the same destination, which is my grandma's. I have talked about it, how it happened with me and my cousin, but I didn't realize like generations of it has happened at the same place. And I never thought too much into it, as much as I talk about transferring of energies and things of that nature and oneness. I have that connection with my family because of that aspect. And it started displaying to me, like, I could be talking about them and then somebody will call. Like, it just kept happening and happening. It was so intriguing to me personally. And I kept bringing it to their attention, but they kept seeming like they wasn't resonating, like it was just a coincidence. Like, this ain't no doggone coincidence, yo. But, without saying, the incest part, it's a lot of that in my family. Which that goes with the fear part that I kept picking up when I was there. I kept picking up on a fear-based energy. Like, why do I keep feeling fear? And it's like, it's not like I'm afraid of something. I got so much to talk about. I began to dream there when I was there. Every day for a whole week I dreamed. I even put it down in my calendar because it was amazing me. Like, I'm dreaming every freaking day. The intriguing part about it was, I don't want to say I couldn't remember it, but it wasn't clear. It was like I was hearing somebody else dream. Like, for a while I thought I was pregnant. I still think I am pregnant, honestly. And I thought my baby was dreaming, and I was like able to hear it, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain, but it seemed like it was not me, if that makes sense. But I would mark it down on my calendar because it was amazing to me. But it always came off in a fear base or like bullying or something, like something of that aspect. Which for me, when I go back and I think about it now, that as I have been since, you know, I left, because things got real too intense and there's way more to it I'm gonna get into. That's the energy of them. I was picking up on their energy. I forget sometimes, as I was saying before, when it comes to jealousy and envy and, you know, me being around females. I am a pretty girl. I am an attractive girl. You know, I don't do too much to put myself out there. It's just naturally part of me. You know, I can't control that aspect. But my other side, they're not the most prettiest people. You know, they may be set financially. You know, everything look all legit, but within their own personal self, they're not strong in that area. And I didn't realize that, you know. I don't ever really think too much into that. And that's the energy I was picking up on. And it was so intriguing to me. And then, one time I had a nightmare. And I made a video about that, but it was in a different format, as into somebody pretending to be you, you know, and having to have conversations with your child about stranger danger, you know, don't just be getting in the cars with people, you know, don't let certain people pick you up. And for me, it felt like deja vu. It felt like something I've been through already when it came to my ex and his dad, when I went to go pick up my child, and they was like, you need to call before you come pick your child up. And I'm just like, yo, it's me. Like, if y'all not here, all well, like I wanted my child, I'm coming to get my child, like weird. But I wound up getting a gun pulled out of me that day for going to get my child, and then the police got called and stuff, and the police escorted me back home without my child, the shit was intriguing to me. But I actually heard this kind of situation happen with my sister. At the same time, my cousin told me, whether it's true or not, I'm not sure because I haven't asked my sister and I'm learning. So her information just be intriguing, but that same type of situation I heard has happened with my sister where somebody acted like they was my sister and went and picked up her child from school and took them out of town. But what the heck was I saying? Get dreams, nightmare. I feel like something else I was saying. Fear-based, that aspect. How can I explain this one? I feel like this whole thing is scrambled, but it's okay. It is what it is. It's just so much, like, compact, honestly. Once I pretty much was just over the energy because I realized there was a bunch of just gossip talking going on. It was just like, okay, I'm gonna go do my own little thing. But it's like I didn't want to distance myself or seem like I was being weird. Like, I really wanted to be there. But then again, I didn't because it's like, dang. Maybe this is a life lesson as into just don't leave with anybody. Some people can trick you from the beginning and then, you get with them. They just totally switch on you. And that's what freaking happened. you know. Fear-based. Okay, so one day I just stayed in the room all day. She had an extra room up there, which I have to go back and talk about that too. The first day I went to her house, she had me sleep on a doggone chair, like she didn't have no other room available for me. Which at first I really didn't think about. I was like, oh, well, I'm just staying here. Maybe this is a slumber party. I never had a slumber party before. Wear pajamas, just watch movies to fall in bed. But she was going to continue to have me sleep on that doggone chair until I actually talked to my son. My son, he had called me, and we were talking. And he was like, so you got a room? And I'm like, no, I sleep on the couch. Cause I moved myself down to the couch. Like, I'm not about to keep sleeping in this chair. This is uncomfortable. Like, I'm back to the coffin I go. Because I normally sleep on the couch. And I call it a coffin because it looked like a coffin to me. So I started sleeping on her couch. But then after I got the phone with my son, she was asking, she pretty much probably heard because I had it on speakerphone. And she was like, oh, well, I have an extra room upstairs, and it's a futon up there. And I'm just like, why you didn't tell me that from the jump, yo? Like, super weird to me personally. Like, I just thought it was weird. Because I was supposed to stay in the basement. The first day I came, she was telling me that she wanted to set the basement up for me and I could stay in the basement. The basement was nice, honestly. Like, okay, so work. But I needed a heater because, I was about to crank it up down there. And it just made sense. Like, I'm going to have it hot, so this is good. You're going to have me in the basement. But that night, I wound up sleeping in her room in the chair. Because the basement wasn't set up and I didn't know it was a futon, like, in the next room that I could have moved down to the basement. But lack of communication is one of the aspects that thrives in this area also. Anywho, I stayed up in the room one day because I wanted to start staying upstairs just because it was like, I'm not moving this bed. Like, my hands is messed up and nobody else want to move it, so I'm just going to stay here. I started getting the energy because so much. I forgot I went to my uncle's house. Not my uncle, my cousin's house. And, Jesus. The story is long and all over the place. It's so much. I have to go back, but it's okay. It's not a rush. I went to my cousin Ron's house. And this was right after I had a conversation with my aunt. She pretty much was telling me she needed her space. But it wasn't her needing her space. It was my cousin. My cousin, I don't know. I think my aunt is scared of her daughter. I don't know why. She did tell me in the hospital she do not like confrontation. But it's like, if you see something wrong, you got to speak up on it, yo. Like, just weird. But I don't know. I don't know. I do know it's just, it was my cousin. She's a good manipulator for sure. Um, she just wanted to see how quickly she can turn us against each other, and it worked. It wasn't like I turned against, her. She just turned against me real quickly, and it worked. She got me out the house. But it worked. She got me out the house. But it turned out to be a blessing. I'm not upset by it. It just was intriguing how it went, honestly. But that same day that she told me she needed space, she wanted to go and display me to, some more people. And it's like, yo, you go here, if you need some doggone space, which that whole conversation, you need in space, you're never home. You're never freaking home. What space do you need, ma'am? But, anywho, what space do you need, ma'am? But that's another, I gotta explain that too, and then I get back into it. She wanted space because she was gonna be having company come over, on top of what my cousin was saying, because I walked into a conversation, but I kind of missed it because I wasn't trying to really listen. I really just walked into it, and I picked up they were talking about me, and then when I came back around the corner, she was like, so what are you gonna do? I need my space. Something my cousin said. I don't know what the hell she said, but it probably was something I recorded it about, as into why families don't eat together, which is true. But I wasn't just referring to just that aspect. I mentioned it because it's something that happens here, but I mean in general, for my own personal self and my own family, just people in general, but some people get so stuck in their emotions that it'd be too much, feel like I'm just pointing fingers or nitpicking. It's like, no, yo, if it resonates, then you should fix it, But went to my Uncle Ron. Why you call him my uncle? See, that's another part. That might be important, honestly. But I went to his house. It was nice. He got a nice house, which I like my cousin Ron, just because the way he showed up for me when he came to the hospital. He didn't waste no time to go and buy me some mittens, which I couldn't fit him. But it was the whole fact of, he was quick to help. Anywho, his wife was lovely. I tell you no lie. Well, I don't think it's his wife no more, but I kept saying it's his wife. But she was lovely, but we sat there, we talked. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. But his wife was so lovely. She gave me excelente hospitality, I would say. Which made me even want to spend more time with them. I was ready to move in with them. Like, I need this type of, help. But we talked about a whole bunch of stuff. It was pointless conversations, if you ask me, but looked up, family pictures and stuff. That was nice, but majority of the conversation was just gossip, and I'm not really a gossiper, honestly, when it comes to just petty, stupid, irrelevant conversations, but whatever works for other people, it works, but it's like, we sat there all day and we talked. And we wound up taking pictures. This part is important too. This is the highlight that sent me overload. It sent me overload. He had a wig, because I was telling him, like, I like the gray hair or something like that. He was like, oh, check this out. I got a gray wig. And I thought he was joking, but he came back around the corner. He had a gray wig. And I was like, can I have this? And he let me have it. But he also had a wig, and it was an afro. He was going for a little, I don't know, one of them 60 things, I guess. So he started looking up, like, pants and shirts and things to wear, because they were going to an event, and he wanted everybody to wear wigs. I mean, the afro wigs. And that was nice. And it was like, since we sat there the whole time and both pretty much was in costumes, I was like, let's take a picture together. And the picture was intriguing. I looked at, like, my aunt said I looked at, like, this lady who played on Tyler Perry. She's a short lady. I know she's talking about, I can't think of the name. She was a short lady. She got, like, glasses, and her hair is gray, I think. I'm not honestly sure. It might be black. She got black hair, actually. But just the way I looked at like her, and it was like, oh, my Jesus, how intriguing. But fast forward and past all that because the rest of it is irrelevant to me. The rest of it is irrelevant to me. The next day I was looking at the picture and something kept saying, oh, go back, honey. Go back really quick. I took a DNA test when I was there so I could learn my family roots. It's something that my family been doing a lot. They've been seeking, placement of places. Definitely my aunt, which I've learned since I've been gone what my part was to play there. Her mom guides me. My grandma, where all this drama has happened at, she guides me. And there has become a level where she realized that her father wasn't her father, but both of her parents is gone. So she was like, she said she went through depression for him because, she couldn't figure out where she belonged and things of that nature. Fast forwarding back to what I was talking about. Fast forwarding back into what I was talking about. This is a lot, yo. Jesus Christ. This is so much. I kind of forgot I was about to say this. I got an instinct going. It's coming toward me. How so intriguing. What the heck was I saying? I was looking at the picture. And something kept saying, first I was looking at it, and his wife topped in the picture too. I wanted to just be me and him taking a picture together, because we were the only two that were dressed up. But his wife hopped in the picture, and it was beneficial that she did, because I realized I look like his wife. I even realized that we were dressed alike. We both had checker print pattern tops on, and her face reminded me of me. She was a lighter virgin, older or whatever, but she looked it like me. And something kept saying, that's your freaking dad. And I'm just like, Jesus, this cannot be possible, Jesus, this can't be possible. But then I really was like, this could be freaking true, So I wound up cropping his wife out the picture and sending him the picture that looked like me and him, like he was touching me, and I was blindfolded saying, this is my father, my eyes was pretty much closed, and he was touching me. I'm like, father, it was one of those type of energies. And he texted me back the next day. That was funny. He put LOL. But I picked up an energy saying, it's a song, but I had to go and look for the song because of the energy I was feeling. I remember this incident. I'm like, God, there's smoke all in my face like that. It was saying, I got you to let me down. It wouldn't admit to it. We're family. You got a whole wife. How are you going to explain to your wife that your cousin is really your child? But I have learned I have a lot of that in my family, so that there's no freaking telling. But this is where it get a little tricky, because I feel like I'm translating energy for my aunt. I feel like her father could be somebody in our family. But back to what I was saying, I felt it was my father. When I first received it, I was thinking, oh my God, this is my father, because we did talk about it when I was there. He started looking through pictures when I went to his house. He was looking through pictures trying to find my dad, and it was intriguing to me that he just typed my dad's name in, was looking up pictures, and it's like he didn't even ask me, who my father is. It's like apparently they was already having conversations about my dad, or maybe he knew my dad. I don't know. But apparently he didn't, because he couldn't recognize the picture. He was asking me if I knew him, have you ever seen a picture of him? I'm just like, no. And that's what got me too. Before I even went to his house, when I first got to my aunt's house, he came over there. Me and him was the one who was having a conversation about all this incest going on in my family. Which that conversation was intriguing, because he had a whole different type of perspective, honestly, as into, he think kids lie. He went through a situation where he would have put I think it was him, honestly, if I'm not mistaken. It was him who would have put himself in a no good situation by stepping in when somebody lied about a situation. It didn't really happen. But it's like, no, dude, this ain't the same type of situation, yo. As much as we keep talking about this topic and we are noticing each one of us have had an incident within our family. How you think somebody's lying? Like, this ain't just one person saying it. This is a generational line as to, oh, well, I used to do this with this person and this person and this person and this person. Like, you too? It was one of those situations. I was amazed. I was amazed and appalled at the same time. Because when I was in the hospital, I learned another aspect of my family as into the men in my family are weak. The, the men in my family are weak. They have a hard time when it comes to infidelity. That they step out a lot. Our women are strong, which helps me understand myself. But the men, they have a hard time with commitment. Infidelity is out this world on my family side. Then leaving out the hospital, I learned there's a lot of incest in my family too. So I just was amazed, I was like, I was happy to learn what I've been feeling and translating and even speaking of. But I felt hurt at the same time as to I haven't been missing anything. I have not been missing anything. It seemed better to stay away, if that makes sense. Like, I ain't been. This is danger. But that's just within the moment. I have, adjusted it all in my brain. Even though right now it seems scattered because I honestly didn't know where to start. I didn't even want to talk about it. And my other topics that I'm gonna talk about, you're gonna see why. It's like I have events so much more. It's just like, why I even want to dwell on this? But this is the important part, and it's needed for a family translating aspect. A blind spot, confirmation to what's needed, and understanding some of the side effects that I'm having. It ain't always me. I ain't picking. It's a cause and effect aspect, as into. It goes like the biting the apple aspect. Like, you done something and it's going to cause an effect to the rest of it. The leaves or the product on the tree, the family, I guess. I said the product on the tree. I'm trying to think what type of tree it is. But that's what this energy is reminding me of. It's a cause and effect. Something happened, but not realizing how early it started. I didn't even know certain people had even touched me when I was younger until it got brought to my attention. And the way it got brought to my attention was just like, have such and such ever touched you? And I'm just like, no, I told you about who I knew of, But then I realized there were other people that I never even would have thought would have, But once I got brought to awareness level of it, I started recognizing the connection, as into how was this playing in my aunt and in my cousin, all because that interaction. Now we're all connected, even though we're family. It's a different level of it, if that makes sense. And it goes back to what I was translating and feeling when I said a family that prays together and eat together stays together. You're never going to be unconnected. But this is a trauma form, if this makes sense. And it's based off incest at early ages, not realizing the connection that's happening. So I thought that was so intriguing for me personally to learn that. The fear base. Did I talk about that already? Yeah, there has to be people in my family that have been born out of incest. That's the fear base. And for me, it triggered me just because, one, I don't know my birth father. And I have heard that my dad have kids. He have a whole child, a son. He probably got more by now. I don't know personally. And it's just like, I did pick up an energy as into, I could be the one that freaking fall in love with my god doggone brother, and I don't know if that would even be a bad thing or a good thing. Because it's intriguing. It sounds intriguing to even say it in that form of a way. But it's something that I have talked about before in the aspect that I have realized when it comes to incest and why it happens to me, why I feel it happens, is because as an adult you want somebody who's always around you. You want somebody that you care for, and you got your family. They right freaking there. They love you. They support you. So of course it happened. It's just at that age we don't realize what we're doing. We just feel like we're showing you affection. We're feeling like we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, until we realize, oh, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Wrong. You naked. And I don't mean like actual clothes off, like you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing, And that's just the way I looked at it. So it's like, even with me saying that, and that, I wouldn't say that's a fear to me, but in the energy I was in, then receiving that was the fear aspect. One, not knowing where you belong, which I speak of that a lot. My personal self, I say all the time, I got to build my family. I don't grow into it. Which I feel like I even got to go back and, rethink that now that I know that I'm connected to people that I didn't even think that I was connected to. I'm going to give an example because I feel it's important. My uncle came to see me. My uncle came to see me. I did mention, I kept speaking of uncle. This one is my uncle. And I was so happy to see him, honestly. He looked good. Like, my uncle always looked good to me personally. But it was a different level of looking good. Like, he's taking care of himself. He worked out a lot. And he just looked good. People sometimes, at least the way I thought about it, last time I seen him, he liked drinking a lot. People call him a drunk and things like that. And for me, I always thought he was chill when he drunk, but, hey, that's just my perspective. But I would say everybody got levels to it, but I ain't never seen him do no wild stuff. But apparently he does wild stuff when he drinks, but all that is irrelevant at the moment to me personally. But that's why I was so happy to see him and seeing the way he looked, like, geez, okay, come up. Okay, come up. But then I realized he got cancer. I'm not sure what level of it, but he said he got cancer, but he's working on fighting it. So he's just been eating right and, wanting to start his own business. Now that, he's knowing better, he's seeing how to heal himself by nutrition. And I thought that was so cool. And herbs, and he got crystals too, which I thought was so cool. I don't know too much about crystals, but I do know it's a healing aspect. So I was so excited just by that aspect. He told me he was talking to somebody who do the chakras and things like that. I was like, oh my God, home.com. That energy excites me. I like to be around things that I naturally operate off of, other than the crystals. I might do, but I just honestly don't know too much about it personally. Other than like it being like water or something, you can see through it or things like that. But I know it's deeper into it. I just honestly don't know at the moment. And that day went good. But fast forward into it, he had called me one day just to check up on me. He said he was doing his little random call people things. And he told me that day that he was practicing on the root chakra. And it's intriguing to me because I was actually thinking about the root chakra myself. I think I even had read on that day. I think I all read that day. And I realized within that moment, he was opening up and telling me, I'm another one who participated with you. And I'm just like, oh my Jesus. My response was so intriguing. It was like I was happy, if that makes sense. Not happy in a filthy mind, just like, oh my God, this connection is everything that I've been saying that it is, if that makes sense. When it comes to the root chakra. So there's something else I wanted to say. I kind of forgot. Anyway, we was talking about that aspect, and I was telling him, I didn't know too much about the crystals, and I wanted him to tell me more about it and things like that. But, that's important too. This is important too. I don't know what it means, but it's important. I don't know what it means, but I know it's important. The day he came over, he was showing me his house or whatever, and I noticed that he had yellow sheets on his bed, and I had pointed it out like, "Oh, you got yellow sheets on your bed." For me, that's a strength aspect. That's a power form, and it was in his freaking bed. So then the next day, not next day, but wherever he called me again, it was that same freaking energy. It was the root chakra aspect. I don't know how to explain that because it's coming off a little filthy in my head. Because it do come off like, that's one of my tokens of power. Like, actually having sex with him would be beneficial, if that makes sense. And that's the intriguing part to me. That's where it just gets real deep and intriguing to me personally. That's where it get real deep and intriguing to me personally. But something else I was about to say. I think I'm about to wrap it up, so I keep forgetting things, but it's just so much, yo. It's just a lot that's happened. I'm probably gonna record this again after I go back and watch it, or maybe not. I'm not sure. It's already at 41 minutes. But yeah, my uncle. That's what I was getting at. The way I responded back to him was so pleasant. You know, it was an acceptance form, if that makes sense. I wasn't upset. I was surprised and happy. Like that was intriguing to me. But I don't know why I would be upset, cause like, I don't know how to explain it. I was amazed at how accepting and welcoming I was. Maybe because I'm in that same alignment, I understand it. You know, you can't take it back. You know, once it's done, it's done. You know, you can just grow and thrive off it like you're supposed to. But that was that. And it's funny because I even got a confirmation after the Nazin too. A person can open up, and it's not really them, it's the spirit or soul, and then they close it right back up. Like, he may not bring that topic back up again. Like, he may not be that open or vulnerable where it's that recognizable, if that makes sense. Unless maybe I bring it to his attention or things like that. There's so much in this tree aspect, yo. And it's all based off generational aspects where it literally start displaying in the parents. It's not just you and that person. Like, it goes to the parent, and then maybe the parent's next child or things like that. Like, and I say that because I start seeing it literally in my aunt and in my cousin. I have to explain this one because I keep mentioning them too. Which is kind of funny a little bit before I even get into that. My cousin said something to me. I did recognize she's a gifted one. She's more on the evil side, and I told her that, like, oh, you one of them evil ones. You're dark, for sure. And I know she's a dark complexion individual, but no, she's like dark work, for sure. And I caught it. She said that she dreamed death or something like that. Which that might be the reason why I was having dreams, honestly. But she dreamed death. She told me that. And just recognize her energy, like, oh, I got you. I find your radar, ma'am. It helps me understand a lot of the energy I was feeling there, honestly. I had to ask my son. I had to ask my Aunt Marsha, like, do you got spirits in your house, yo? Like, who lived here before you? Do you know who lived here before you? Did somebody die in this house or something? Because I kept picking up on an extra energy that was just like, what is this? You know? Which my aunt brought something to my attention. It's probably a true statement just because of what she said, or maybe she just, I don't know. She asked me one morning while I was staying at her house, did you wash up this morning? I heard you in the shower this morning. And I'm like, no, I didn't get in the shower this morning, but I did hear the shower this morning. And she just was like, oh, well, there must be something going on around here. And I'm just like, that's not weird to you? Because I clearly heard it. I know my cousin didn't get in the shower. You didn't get in. Who was in that shower this morning, yo? But then later on that day, the goddamn garage kept opening. Like, it sounded like it was opening. I'm pretty sure it wasn't opening. I didn't get up to go look, but it kept seeming like it sounded like it was opening all freaking day randomly. Um, and it reminded me of an energy that I already recognized. Like there was an energy there, and I believe that's a true statement. Just because also it's something I talked about, but I had to while I was there, I thought more into it, which kind of made me want to stop vacuuming her floor. The dog started going crazy when I was vacuuming. Like, I thought, he just was scared of, as I talked about it, as into maybe he, got vacuumed up before, I was making a little reference to, you going to face a fear today, I even made him bacon afterwards. Um, but he really did not like that floor being vacuumed. He would attack the vacuum. Like he was protecting something that he didn't want to get vacuumed up. Um, so I believe that's a true statement, honestly. Um, but it's something that me and my aunt talked about, as into energy travels with you, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain, which for me, I did feel a certain type of way. It's like, they probably think this is me. I already do tarot, which it look like dark work. And it's like, oh my God, you brought all this to my house. It's like, no, yo, I'm the most pleasantest, calmest aspect, okay? Like, it's not me, As I kept saying, it's not me, it's not you. Who else is here, Troublemaker. But in that aspect, one day I was sitting at the table and I was eating, and she was like, I heard what you said about me. And I'm like, what did I say about you? No, first she was like, I heard what you said about me. Are you mad with me? And I'm just like, what did I say? And why would I be mad with you? Going back now, no, I'm not mad with you. I'm just like, why would you do that, yo? I told you that I was enjoying your mom, like I even had both of you guys back as to, well, your mom should understand more, and you should listen to what your daughter's saying more, she really needs you right now. Like I wasn't trying to be the middle person, but it's like, I understand both sides, yo. Like, what do you want me to do? I came here for your aunt. I was excited to see you, but, it's obvious you got a big attitude. You're not happy. That's why I was just like, I didn't realize what I was walking into. It became a jealousy, envy aspect when it shouldn't have been. It was so weird. It's like, we're family. We're family. And at the moment, I seem like I'm the most bottomest person ever because I'm freaking homeless, Like, I can't really use my hands, even though my hands look really gorgeous. They're healing really good. But I even polished them just because I needed a little, lovey situation. Like, this is my good hand. This is my hand that's still going through it. But it make my therapy a little bit more nicer when I do it. A little bit motivation for me. But this was intriguing. That situation was intriguing to me, honestly. I was amazed at how it went when it came to family and how they treated me. It made me appreciate certain things better, as I talked about before when it came to my ex. He does a lot for me, and I didn't realize how much he did for me, where I should have been more appreciative. Like simple things as getting some food. It seemed difficult to do, Even for them, they couldn't believe the way I ate. It seemed like it was a hassle to make food. It's just like, yo, just don't add meat to it, yo. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And I'm not even really worried about food, yo. I just need to be indoor to stay warm. That's it. Food is a bonus, but that became a situation. That's when I realized my aunt is a liar, too. And it appalled me because it's like, it make believers look bad, if that makes sense. Because even as genuine and pure as I am, people see me, but they wonder if that's really my personality. Like, do you change, Which even for them, it's like, much as I go through, I'm still jolly. I'm still, speaking positivity. It's just like, this real, It's like, yeah, this is me, yo. Like, I don't change when I get around other people. But I realize she does. And she lies. And it appalled me. Like, why would you lie like that? Simple examples as she went to go get my medicine, but instead of paying for it, she just said they didn't have it. Or she'd give me Chinese fries for Chinese food. That day was intriguing. I was trying to get Chinese food out of them for a few days, honestly. Somehow it kept not happening. It seemed like the biggest hassle. Like I asked to go grab the moon or something. But what did happen that day? I don't know. I think I had one of her dresses on. It looked so cute. And some of the things that happened, I can't really remember. But the next day, she made sure she got up early and left out and was like, "Don't have too much fun without me." And she went and got Chinese food on her own, with the exact thing that I wanted. And it's like, lady, I'm glad you tried. Now you know what I like, but what are you doing? You're being weird, yo. That's just the way I looked at it. But I know that sounds like some real grimy stuff. Like, your onions so grimy. Hey, you live and you learn, huh? But it taught me myself, honestly, a lot. You know, just to appreciate certain things. And not to work so much. I think that's what that taught me a lot. Because even when it came to my cousin, she was amazed how much help she did not get because her mom chose to work so much. You know, she wanted somebody to watch her child, and she'd rather, I don't know, go help somebody else. And it's like, so it was intriguing. Even on her vacation time, it's like, I could have needed some help. My cousin could have needed some help, but she still was helping her other patients. It's like, dude. But it made me think about myself and how I do my work on social media, translating. I do invest all my time in it, where I pay nobody else any attention for the most part. And it made me feel bad. Like, geez, this is how my son feel, or other people? Like, I never thought about it in a different person perspective, if that makes sense. So it did make me miss my son a lot and make me want to change my perspective on certain things. Like, geez, I never thought about it that way. Even though my son do give me an intriguing time, but it's like, it doesn't matter. I still should invest spending time with him more, if that makes sense. Just by seeing a whole adult be upset with their parent for them not being so available mentally. It's like, yes, you're there financially, but mentally you're not there, which is something I talked about a good amount as to how do you have a balance in that? You know, there's ones who have all the material aspect but lack the mental part, or you have the mental part but literally lack the financial part. It's like, I wouldn't say it's a pro and con, but like, how do you find a balance in that? You know, I feel I could. I feel like I won't say I do. It's just my foundation is all over the place right now, if that makes sense. But I've talked about that a lot already. When it comes to my own personal self, and just as much as I'm talking about other people, it's like I do bring it back to myself. I did learn a good amount about myself that I did not like. Simple things. Another thing when it comes to my ex, when I talked about him, when I said made me appreciate him more. My aunt was speaking, and she said, you know, she don't like people who just call her when they want something. It made me think about myself, like, geez, I do that same aspect. Like, I call my ex just when I want something. I don't really just call him to check on him. I call because I need something. And it's like, I didn't think about it in a being a user of a person, if that makes sense. It's just like, it's a common sense aspect to me. You know, you don't call anything or a person when you know that they can't help you. You're going to call what you know that can help you. You know, it's like going to a restaurant knowing that they don't sell those products there. You know, they may be out of it, but it's like, you know, that's where it's supposed to be at, so they're going to have it. That's how I operate. But it made me think, like, I never thought somebody could feel that way because of that type of interaction, you know. So it's like, I got to work on that my own personal self, because I do that. But for me, it just makes sense, you know. It's like, and I don't have that many people who help and support me on top of that, which that's another one of my problems that I have. Why I come off in that way, because I know that's the only person that's going to help me in that form of a way. And I just really think about it as into, why would I call somebody who I know can't freaking help me? You know, it's weird. That's like anybody, you know. If somebody, you know, somebody gonna help you or can't, what you calling them for? It's weird, you know. But I guess, people just like for you to call them just randomly and check on them. Which, I guess it is nice just to say hi. I give myself chuckles. But for me, it's like, I have a whole nother type of perspective. It's like, I know I'm always connected. I know I am, but I guess to bring it to real life, it is nice when somebody actually call you like, oh, I was thinking about you. It's like, oh, I was thinking about you too. All those things is useful. So besides, working too much, missing time with family seem to be important, finding a balance in that. And just checking up on people more often other than just when you want something. Was lessons that I have learned in this situation other than, my family, we are super connected based off incest. Like, I have a whole family tree. A whole family tree that I never really thought about. I have spoke of incest in my family, like I've said, but I never thought about the oneness that comes in it within ourselves. And then as we spread out, the cause and effect that happens because we're connected. I always speak about relationships that I have been in, and I realize when somebody that I've been with, who should be my spouse, because I'm only connected to two people in that form of a way. As many people as I've been with, I never had a spiritual connection that was recognizable to me where I'm recognizing it. And I speak on them a lot as into I recognize when they step out with other people. Because, it happens to be people that I'm close to where it's like I can literally see what you're displaying. I know that's me. What are you doing? Like how is that possible? But I've got a different perspective on that because, as I said, that was the important part when I went to my cousin Ron's house and that afro that he had on and that thing. Then I wound up feeling like he was my father by a picture we took. Once I came back, my son keep playing this doggone music that reminds me of the same energy that he had when he put that wig on. He started looking up these older shows that I wasn't really feeling, but that's the theme he was going for. He had the leather jacket on, he had the afro. He said he was gonna get a turtleneck type of shirt. But I was thinking like a smooth operator. You feel like a smooth operator. And then my son get to playing this type of music every day. He call it sexy time music. And my ex, he get to pointing out all these older type of cars that he want. And I'm just like, why did it seem like deja vu? I forget the connection part that starts a oneness from traits of me that I carried on that I've transferred over to him. And they displayed, as much as I talk about there's no way that can happen other than, if intercourse has happened. Yes, the intercourse has happened, but I know my son ain't been with my cousin, or my aunt or things of that nature. It's like, how are you picking up on that? But that's the cause and effect part of a oneness. And I thought that was so freaking intriguing to me. Because it almost felt like a nitpicking situation. It's like, what the world? Why are you playing this music? Why do you keep pointing out all these older cars that you want? And it's intriguing because when I went to my cousin Ron's house, he said he wanted to take a picture outside. He bought an older car. When I say older cars, I'm thinking about the ones that got like the long back seats. I'm not good with the name and models of cars, but I know it's an older style car. And then since I've been back, my ex been pointing out all these freaking cars. Like, I want this type of car. I was like, that's the same car that he said he want. And that's the theme of energy that he was trying to go with. So it amazed me, the oneness part within that energy. I think I got out everything that I needed in that aspect, honestly. Which I seem like I might have been doing a lot of complaining, but I'm really not. It's just I was amazed, honestly. I even been debating if I want to reach back out to them. I feel like I am, just because it has taught me a lot. Like, I had to go through this aspect, but at the same time, it's like, you showed me to my face how you felt about me, literally. And it's like, what I need to go back for? What am I still communicating with you for? When you showed me to my face, I was not important. Like, what the foot it is? Like totally dismissed me. Like, what I really needed freaking help. Like, you seen how long it took me to get out the hospital. Like, apparently I don't have nowhere to go so quickly. Um, but I feel like that's it. That was a lot. It took a whole hour. That was not bad. A whole hour. It's not bad. Of a lesson, honestly. I'll make sure I got everything that I needed out. The fear base that I was feeling, that seemed to be really important, and it's definitely it's for my aunt. I'm guaranteed of the fact that that's for her, as to her father is somebody in our family. She's one of those ones. Garrett, she's one of those ones. As into all that little incest that was happening, somebody got pregnant, but they just didn't talk about it. They just proceeded, maybe started dating somebody else. There's no telling how many people she was with, so. And it's funny because I actually, as I'm saying this, and I thought about it even when I was there, but as I start saying, I realize, certain things just seem to be off topic to talk about. Things get shut down. People don't like to feel guilt. So it's just like, instead of feeling guilt, I'm just going to shut it down and say I just don't like confrontation. But it's like, it's not that you don't like confrontation. You don't want to feel guilt. And you don't want to deal with honesty. You don't want truth that you've been seeking. If that makes sense. And I'm referring to my aunt because she was telling me things, and it wasn't resonating with me at the moment as to my part that I was supposed to play in it. It's like I was doing it, but once you keep getting pushed away, it's like, I'm not forcing it on you. I'm going to tell you what I do. I'm going to tell you signs that I recognize, but I can't force you to believe it or accept it, but I did bring it to attention because as much as I was there, I never had so many conversations with people randomly, and it all leads to incest. Like, all our conversations was based off incest. All of it. Then I remembered where I was at, like, I even brought it to like, all this trauma has happened at your mother's house. Her mother's name is Asley, it's my grandma. And she has died. She guides me. This woman guides me, and it even amazed me once I realized she's one of my spirit guides, just because of when something happened to me that was so important. She didn't believe me. She didn't think that two girls would be interested in each other. What the heck am I hearing? I got the window open over there. I heard something that sounded intriguing. But I was just wondering, like, that's not a freaking coincidence, that all these conversations are going on at your house, and all this type of drama happened at your mother's house, and you have just went through depression because you realized that your father was not your freaking father, and you couldn't get answers from your mother because she's on the other side. You have a whole translator right here, hunty, But when I was telling her signs that I get, simple things as, birds. Oh my God, those are angels. Which I actually seen one day, a whole bunch of birds made me so happy. But it was after I had told her about it. She was like, I don't like birds. I don't like things flying over me. Which I was appalled, but it's like, you know what? Hey, it is what it is. People like what they like and they don't. But it's like, in this aspect, everything you're seeking, you're turning down. I don't think you want answers, but I wrote it down. It was the day before I left. And it was saying, there's so much I want to tell you, but you're not ready for it. She wasn't ready for the truth. She just wasn't. It's one of those later on aspects that she may resonate more, be more welcome and accepting of it when she start, having more signs of simple things as the birds, realizing that's good energy. It's guiding you. It's telling you something. I would not be surprised now every time you see a bird, she think of me. I'm serious. She think of me. I'm chuckling a little bit just because I'm guaranteed of a sure fact of it. But when you go to reincarnation aspect, you don't always get to come back in a human form. That's why they say this is the best life. And a lot of people that we love, they are birds, and they come visit us often. But we think that part is irrelevant, so, well, not we, pardon me. Some people think it's irrelevant, but it's your answers. It's your support, it's your guidance. Or cats. She didn't like cats, and I'm like, yo, I'm a whole cat, yo. I'm a whole cat, and I love cats. Cats guide all the time. She didn't like cats, and I was like, oh, Jesus. I don't know how much you're gonna like me, then. I guess that's a true fact, too, huh? I give myself chuckles. But for me, it's just the whole aspect of not wanting to feel guilt and not wanting to deal with honesty. That's all I have learned in that aspect. And it really sucks. Because even with my grandma, my other one, I got two grandmas. I call one grandma Big Grandma, and I call the other grandma Little Grandma. But I'm talking about my little grandma, her name Carolyn. People kept referencing me to her. Like, they just be like, you seem so much like your grandma. And I'm like, I do? How intriguing. Even when I went to my cousin Ron's house, he took a picture of me and he sent it to her, and it was like, they all kept referencing me to being like her, or looking like her. So I actually called her. It's like, I'm going to check up on you, see what I'm missing out on. I do love my grandma. I just haven't talked to her in a long time. And she came off as a little standoffish, but she became open at the same time. But then when she seemed like she was being too vulnerable, she shut down, and it was intriguing how she did it. She was like, I'm done talking. And I'm just like, okay, it caught me off guard, but I felt like that was progress, just because I did realize some people have a hard time opening up when they're going through things. I am one of those. I even told her, like, I have tendencies to shut down, like literally distant myself. I'm done answering the phone for sure. I shouldn't chuckle, but those are my behaviors that I go through. Normally when I'm going through things, I'm not answering the phone. Why do I do that? Just because I'm not a complainer. I feel like people really don't care. They just want something to go tell the next freaking person. It's like, if it's not going to help me by you going to tell the next person, what am I complaining and crying for? I'm gonna deal with it. Then I get back with you guys when, I'm back jolly, and it's the part where y'all just, oh my God, we love this part. Like, I'm always that way, but I do go through things. But I do realize people don't really care. They don't personally care. They just like to have something to gossip about. Guess who's going through it? they like that aspect. It's like, yo, you're not getting your thrill off me today. Even though when I do feel better, I'm going to tell you about it. Like what I'm doing now. Because I'm just that type of person. But as I was saying, it came to my grandma. I didn't realize that she was going through so much, or that she felt a certain type of way. I would have never thought about grandma. I don't want to say mentally weak. Because I always thought she was strong. My grandma, she loves learning. She got so many masters and bachelors and things like that. She liked learning. So I always thought my grandma was strong and smart. But the way she was speaking about herself was so intriguing to me. Like, I would have never guessed it, but you never know. Because she operates the same form of way. When she goes through things, you won't ever freaking know it. Even though to an extent, with me even saying that, I think about the aspect as into, she became a hoarder. Like, that should have been a sign to certain people as into, why are you collecting all this stuff? Why are you living in clutter? I always knew my grandma to be a really neat, clean person. She might have had a lot of stuff, but not that much. But her house was always nice. She always had, like, sculptures of things. Like, African symbols and things like that. But there became a time where she became cluttered. Like that should have been a sign. Now that I'm thinking about it, and I even think about how I operate, I'm not a cluttered person. I probably get to cleaning and everything for sure, but for other people, that should have been a sign that something was wrong. But I guess that's one of those you live and learn aspects. But what I was getting at is the fact of my family do have tendencies to shut down, like, and not want to talk about things, even though I realize we can help each other. And that's what I was looking forward to doing. I haven't talked to her in a while because I thought I was going to call her the next day. Like, what happened to the next day, honey? It's been a whole week. I know, right? I'm going to get back to her. I really am. It's just, I be going through a lot, yo, on my own, which that's not really an excuse, but I've just been evolving so freaking much. Like, I'm so happy to talk about other things. I don't want to talk about the things that I want to talk about at the moment, just because I want it to be a whole different video. But my mind is in a whole different place, honestly. And it's beneficial. And I just don't want to be indwelling energy, if that makes sense. And that's kind of why I haven't reached back out. Because it's like, that's dwelling energy. That's why I didn't want to make this video. It seemed like dwelling. Even though it's beneficial, like, oh my God. Puzzle pieces connecting. It's sad energy. And it's just like, I'm tired of being in that. But I know I could help my grandma. This was my personality. And everybody keep referencing me to her. It's so intriguing. My mom did, my cousin did, my aunt did. They all tell me I'm just like her, which I did realize that's what triggered me, actually. That's what triggered me to look at pictures, is the fact of, I remember my grandma used to make collages. And her collage is a form where she used pictures and words, and she like pretty much scrapped things up and put it together. And I have tendencies of doing that same thing. I do it in a different form of a way, but it's the same aspect. It's a message in it. And she said she ain't done it in a while, but she started doing it when we lived in the homes. And I thought that was so cool, but it triggered my mind to start looking at pictures. And I started connecting dots to things. Like, I started picking up energy where whether this is a true statement or not, this is the energy I picked up on. As into, my sister could be pregnant by somebody in the family. And it's intriguing to me because it made me think about my behavior in the hospital. As into, I said I was sexually assaulted in the hospital, which I still personally feel I was, but I never had any reason to think that. Like, I didn't have like nothing on me where it was just like something happened to me. I just literally felt that freaking way. I felt like I was pregnant. But energy that I've been translating, and now that I know a little bit more, it feels like that could be somebody else's energy. Or it's like I'm already creating for the future, if that makes sense. Because I know I'm going to have a child. I got a whole child on the spiritual side. Her name's Sky. She was given to me by somebody else I care a lot for, which I'm back in that energy again when it comes to Mr. Leafs. It's a whole other topic. But I'm going to talk about it just because it's something I picked up on yesterday. Me and the people that stayed with, we all dressed alike yesterday. And it was intriguing because this is a sign for me that I always recognize when it comes to... See, this is where it gets tricky because I have to use the word infidelity in this one, but I'm not married to any of these individuals, but spiritually we're stuck together. Like, I'm supposed to be married. Like, I know that. And it was an energy that I got before as into... Don't rush it. Like, the next one is going to be that person. And that person happened to be Leafs. And How can I explain this, Jesus? I want to say those ones are mingling, or maybe I'm being triggered again. I'm not honestly sure. It's like something I really don't care about, but I'm recognizing some that I spoke about as to the law of placement and how I'm able to pick up energy. It depends on where I'm at, you know. Um, and the law of gender is an important aspect when it comes to ways you're able to receive energy. Um, but I'm getting that in this aspect. I just been thinking of him a lot, honestly. It's somebody I really do love a lot. But it's making me feel like I haven't learned a lesson that I have to learn when it comes to your spouse stepping out or your spouse being of the same gender. Like in the opposite, not like an opposite, like in the same sex, but not open with it, and a cause and effect that happens in it when they're not honest. Um, and for me personally, I don't have a problem in that energy. Um, it's just I do know and I do see that there's a cause and effect when not honest within it. And I translated before saying that I have to learn this lesson, or I will sabotage my next relationship because I didn't learn this lesson. You know, it's like this is one of those have to let go aspects. I feel like because not honest about the situation and it's causing more harm than good. Um, Jesus. It's so funny that I'm even thinking about him, honestly, just because I think of him a lot, honestly, I really do. Um, it's just thinking about a family tree and then me being connected to him, and the energy that I pick up on him is intriguing because he always gives me a discrimination energy. We have, not always. It's just he brought that to my attention. Having intercourse with him, he has discrimination genes for sure. Um, and also a same sex energy. Um, and it's intriguing because I want to say he never told me, but I feel he did. I just, at that point in time, I didn't think to think so much into what he was saying to me at that moment. I think it was the last time I seen him actually, like physically seeing him. We were walking because we had nowhere else really to go. They didn't walk around really quick. Um, and he was telling me that he began to start watching something, some type of different porn, where people start inserting things, and I'm just like, I didn't think too much into it. I didn't think, you know, maybe he could have started watching same sex porn because it's something that I personally started doing at a particular time randomly. Um, and I can't honestly tell you why. Maybe I had to learn a lesson, you know, see what all the excitement is about. But it's something that did excite me very quickly. Um, but I can't honestly tell you at the moment why I started watching it. I feel like I can. I'll probably make a different video. But I never was a person who thought about it, honestly. That's probably why I'm saying I can't tell you what made me start watching it. Other than I moved into my own energy and the person I brought with me. And the person I brought with me was my ex. This is when I got my first apartment in Abbey Lane. My ex started staying with me, and I used to watch it off of his phone. Which is like, wait, watch it. I can't, I don't know, yo. And I know that he used to know I watched it because I never cleared the history off of it. I never thought to clear the history off of it, you know. It wasn't like I was hiding it. It's just I started watching it, yo. Um, then I just stopped watching it one day, and I never really thought about it again. Um, so I feel like he may have hit that level that I have hit. He began to watch it, and probably start participating in it too, because it's obvious, you know. I see displays of it all the time of a connection, but If I was to ask the other person who I know he connected to, which is my ex, he would say it's totally untrue. Totally untrue. But it's like you displaying it. Like, what do you want me to do? You know, like, I can't say not pay attention, but I'm totally connected to this person. I told you this from the jump, you know. But it's like he think he can freaking hide what he's doing. It's weird. But that's just one of the other things that, you know, you live and you learn. You learn to do better aspects. Because like, it's amazing that he was comfortable enough to tell me that, but I didn't pick up that's what he was doing. You know, I thought maybe he was watching some females stuff themselves with some weird things, you know, cucumbers or shit like that. I didn't think too much into it. But now that I think about the way that he was describing it, it was like he was slowly but surely telling me. But we started talking about something else, and we never brought that conversation back up again. Because I really ain't even seen him since then, honestly. But that's actually good, you know, because that's what I love about him. He don't lie to me. He doesn't. He may not always tell me the most pleasantest things, but it's not a lie. He's not about to lie to me, and I love that part. But other than that, I just really do love him a lot. I can't really tell you why other than that. But my other one that I'm in love with, I love one person, another one I'm in love with. I've been thinking about him since I got back. And it's weird because I pick it up off my ex. Like, my ex be touching me and I be thinking it's him. It's weird. I have to catch myself because it's the energy I've talked about before. As into, even when you have a child, simple things like that, and you recognize your spouse in your child, not to react that that's not the same person, yo. That's how I was feeling. Like, I was thinking it was him. Did I have to catch myself? Like, no, this is the one that you don't like. I hate to say I don't like, but it's like I don't want to be with my ex in that form of a way. He's my ex. We could be friends, and I don't want to be sexual with my friend in that form of a way. But I just kept thinking about him, like, and it was making me want him. It was weird. So I had to remove myself, you know. But that's the other one I've been thinking about in that form of a way, which it's intriguing because when I was gone, I picked up an energy that he was here. And he came back here again. So it's not like too surprising. It's just like, it's intriguing that I hear people speak of that form of a way as into I be fantasizing that I'm with somebody else while I'm having sex with, you know, their partner or something to just make it more pleasurable. But it's like, I can't even get all the way into it because, like, I know what I'm wanting. I know what I need. But then when I open my eyes, I'm seeing something else. It's weird, if that makes sense. Even when I got my eyes open, it's just still like I'm thinking that it's him. Which I don't know. I gotta work on that. I don't know what that behavior about. Honestly, I don't know what that behavior about. I don't like that behavior. It's kind of sneaky behavior. But it's like I'm not ever being sneaky. It's like it's just I really don't want to be with somebody and thinking about somebody at the same time. Like, that's weird. Like, what are you doing? You know, but it's true. It's what I was picking up. I was totally thinking about Mr. Blackout. I think his name Mark. You don't even know my name. I know. Who cares? I do care. It's just, that's what he told me to call him. So I'm going to leave it at that aspect. But I normally call him Be. And that's what I was thinking, honestly. But I think I had enough for today. I can go back and watch all this intriguing topic that I have going. And I wouldn't say I feel better. I probably feel better once I go and watch it. But I know I'm going to get therapy out of this. It helps a lot. Because right now it's just all shoved in my brain. and I'm receiving too much to keep it shoved in there, if that makes sense. So hopefully I answered some things that I needed to know and gave confirmation that was needed.